Hello, this is Craig Resnick coming to you from the 2020 ARC Orlando Forum. With me today are my two special guests, both from Inductive Automation, Don Pearson and Travis Cox. Welcome to the forum this year.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate being here.
Tell us a little bit about your role at Inductive Automation and what are some of the things that make this forum so interesting for you?
I think it's even got more interesting over the years, Craig, because my role is Chief Strategy Officer with Inductive Automation. But as the company's growing and we've built in more and more requirements, I guess, to handle a little larger organization, I've taken on responsibilities over our sales and marketing activities. Work closely with Travis and the sales engineering team, with our global distribution director, our sales director, marketing, and then for us, our community alliances in the world of ecosystems. So all of those things, a lot of them, they cross the lines of a whole lot of what you do here at the forum. So for us, it's a really good opportunity to do a whole lot of customer contact and a whole lot of presentation and meeting a whole lot of people all within 1 week's period of time.
That's great. Travis, tell us about yourself and what you do and what are the things that bring you to the forum?
Yeah, so I'm a co-director of sales engineering for Inductive Automation. And our team, the sales engineering team, we are the solution architects. So we work very closely with end users, integrators, in developing architectures, putting best practices forward, helping get over any technical hurdles that they may have. And so, we're really at the forefront with working with our customers in digital transformation, and we're getting that feedback constantly every day on what they need, with our solution, what they need overall, and how we can, better our tool set to accommodate. And we really like coming to the forum here because we can get, your view of digital transformation. We can talk to, the C-level folks and the challenges that they're faced with, and it helps us really shape our product as we look to the future.
Yeah, because I believe this is, I think 2013 was the first year that Inductive Automation came here, and you were founded, in 2003?
2003, that's exactly right, But it took us a while, I think, if you really think about it. Today we talked a little bit earlier about we're in 10th anniversary of the Ignition platform. So really, when the industrial application platform Ignition was put in the marketplace 10 years ago this month, it really started a rise in terms of our evolution to really dealing with enterprises. And somewhere along the line there, it just became obvious. 2013 was the first year we were here, which makes 7 now, Craig. So we've been coming a long time. But it really became obvious that we needed to address the enterprise. And frankly, you have a lot of good discussions here besides your breakout sessions. The attendees are the kind of people who are talking about digital transformation. They're challenged with it. They have a lot of good questions. And for us, the interaction and the growth for us as a company has kind of paralleled a lot of the evolution of your topics and discussions here at the forum over the years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've certainly seen, even just from the type of speakers, the type of applications that you were bringing in 2013. Now, I believe you have 7 speakers just at this forum from the complete range of applications. So it's not like it's just heavy on process or heavy on discrete or heavy on hybrid. It's across the board. And one of the things we certainly noticed this year in your press conference was you had really 4 very important announcements. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the things you announced at the forum this year?
Yeah, I'll just say one thing about the speakers first and then pass it over to Travis to talk about the announcements. But we were really pleased when we look at we're pleased that basically you found that the end users that you need to build out a program that really deals with your topic of digital transformation, the evolution of cities, that some of our customers are really making progress now. And we're seeing them get beyond that pilot project stage and really doing enterprise deployments. And frankly, to us, it was very encouraging that they were able to have a message that you felt would fit your attendees on the journey they're on. And so that to us is exciting. And also the fact that they're willing to come and share is a really big deal too. So that's just a comment in terms of those speakers. But in terms of our announcements, I'll turn it over to Travis.
Yeah, so we had 4 announcements here. Really, when looking at digital transformation and working with customers, there's obviously a lot of challenges that they've had to overcome. And over the years, we've really pride ourselves on the fact that we have been able to deliver solutions now, right? And break down those barriers that get the innovation, get those solutions out there and let them get the value out of it. But this year, one of the big challenges of digital transformation is getting access to the data, is getting it. And so we developed and enhanced our Ignition Edge line of products that we can put their set of lightweight, limited, low-cost edge of network solutions that you can put out there right next to the controllers. We can talk to all the PLCs locally, pull that information locally, and we can then do more with that data. So one of the products is Edge IIoT, and the idea is to bring that data up to a central system, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud, utilizing the MQTT protocol in a very efficient way. So that allows for store and forward and get a lot of access to that data. We've also introduced Edge Panel, which is a local HMI at the edge of the network that you can have either a desktop application environment or our latest visualization that's native HTML5. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But we've also introduced Edge Compute, which gives the ability to do scripting and logic engines at the edge of network so that you can have that compute out there without having to rely on doing that all from a central standpoint. And so when there's calculations or some basic analytics, it becomes really important to do that at the edge. We've also introduced our management and data transferring services with Ignition, so sync services and EAM. So basically this allows for the edges to seamlessly work with a central Ignition server, connect together through our gateway network, and allow for central management, backup, and disaster recovery, and central licensing, project and tag synchronization, all these tools that help if you have hundreds or thousands of those edges out there. You want to be able to make it easy, And so in terms of making it easy, we also launched our, talks about our new Ignition Onboard program. And we launched a new web portal. And the idea behind this is that we want to combine the best-in-class software with the best-in-class hardware. Customers are using our product and they have to install it on some PC. We're just the software. An embedded PC or a virtual machine or someplace. They have to install it. They have to configure it. Then they have to license it and all of that. So if they've got thousands of these things to put out there at the edge, that can take some time to get deployed and commissioned. So the idea of the onboard program is to work with vendors to have it pre-installed, pre-configured, pre-licensed, and take out all of those barriers for the customer so they can buy it, ready to go, put it in and start actually developing and getting access to that data and getting value out of it very quickly. So with the web portal allows you to go up there and see all the devices by categories, by different vendors, and the types of solutions that we can bring to the table. And it's pretty amazing. We look at different industries, and if you look at oil and gas, there's a big shift in moving data to the edge, or having edge computing out there to get access to flow computers or getting access to Modbus devices and stop doing it over there. Pulling over their 900 megahertz radios or their telemetry systems, be able to pull it locally and publish information back, get access to more data. Well, there's a bunch of cellular gateways that have fog computing that can run Ignition Edge. We can put our drivers right there, talk to the devices, and basically efficiently bring data back, and you can solve that whole issue. So whether it's on cellular gateways or embedded PCs or panel PCs or networking equipment, there's a lot of equipment out there that combines, that's multi-use. It has functionality that's built in, as well as the ability to run software like Ignition. So it really makes getting to these solutions a lot faster. So the onboard program is really important for us and for the customers, just to make it simple. It's again breaking down those barriers for digital transformation.
One of the things that's so important, I know Dawn, you alluded to this earlier about your partner ecosystem, because obviously the products that you're embedding these software solutions on, many of them are through your partners. Talk about some of the companies that are your partners and some of the hardware that's being embedded with your software.
Yeah, I'll mention a couple of partners. Travis and I had the privilege of going to Taipei at the end of last year to meet with a number of our partners as we were gearing up to get this thing really kicked off. And we're very excited about these companies. And so, we're working with a company called Advantech, another one called Moxa, another one called O-Ring. Those are all companies out of Taipei. We have another partner on Logic that we're doing a lot of work with right now. And in fact, our original partner was Opto22. We started working with Opto 22 years ago. And what's happening, though, I'll say this, and Travis may want to comment more about this, but sales engineering and his team are responsible for when these devices come in, they'll send us the device. We make sure that everything is ready to go in terms of approving it. So what we're excited about now is we've got the launch of the portal. We've got the system set up. We've got core partners, but we have a pipeline of partners that are going through that process. And we believe, to your point about the ecosystem, we believe that it's about an ecosystem. It isn't about one company having the whole solution. So we firmly believe that we have our expertise. Each of these partners, they are good at what they do. And if we give them the power of ignition on their device, then that brings them more upscale to be part of a solution and not just selling a device that's isolated from the whole evolution that company is going on in their digital transformation strategies. So I believe that it's really important, not just in the onboard program, but with CirrusLink and Sepasoft. We're in discussions now with a company that brings deep expertise in life sciences. So we believe that we will build out the ecosystem by building our platform more and more and more functionality, and then bringing on domain expertise, Greg, because no one of us is going to be the solution for everybody. So we really need to partner, have a lot of collaborations going on. Onboard is a big piece of that, but we have a whole approach, I think, to really strengthen our integrators. We've got a number of integrators here that are really, really strong, and we got over 2,000 across the world. We firmly believe that if we help people's domain expertise be more focused on the solutions, that we're doing our part and allows them to do theirs. Onboard, of course, is a big piece of that ecosystem.
Yeah, and along the way too, it's important that as we develop tools, and to Don's point, is that we are part of the solution. We're not the only piece of the solution, but we're a part of the solution. And leveraging open standards and like OPC UA, like MQTT, being able to to get data to the enterprise, be able to leverage that with other systems. We have partners as well in terms of working with other software vendors like Seek and Canary Labs who want to ingest that data and bring it in. And so customers now have a lot of options in deploying a full solution. And we really just want to be the core, kind of be the best partner that we can be in terms of being able to deliver these kind of solutions.
Yeah, and I'd say if there's anything philosophically, I mean, at this forum, you guys have had for years now. I think I first heard Don Bartusiak from ExxonMobil 5 years ago, at least, when he was doing some research into next generation DCS systems and what the end user needed. Philosophically, we're in the open, interoperable, standards-based, secure systems that we believe are the operating systems that are going to basically empower digital transformation. And so, like Travis said, we're not the whole answer, but our job is to make the best possible platform so this ecosystem of partners can emerge. And what at the end of the day happens is the end user industrial organization, they have a choice. They can build the best architectures they need to accomplish their goals.
Right. And I know when I think of the culture of inductive automation, I mean, obviously you were founded by a systems integrator. So obviously that's part of your DNA, is obviously trying to solve problems, being able to be open, take advantage of multi-vendor interoperability. So one of the things that, when Ignition came out, I'd say that the point that was made in the marketplace was it's disruptive technology. A lot of it was the pricing model. And I assume you've carried that out certainly throughout Ignition 8. And have you really extended that a similar disruptive technology pricing model as you've gone to, like with Sepasoft, with MES, and some of the other solutions that you're working with?
Yes, we absolutely have. And even with the Ignition Onboard program, we realized that we had to come in at a price point actually that allowed for the deployments of scale that people are going to want to do to make it really, really workable. But the unlimited pricing model, I mean, if you just think about what's evolved with digital transformation and the challenges of IIoT architectures really being built out to scale. My feeling is that one of the things that would stop a lot of them is simply, if you had old pricing models, you'd get stuck in the pending basket of some CFO or some controller somewhere and would never see the light of day. But if you had unlimited tags, unlimited clients, unlimited device connections, unlimited concurrent designers, unlimited projects, you basically said, you should not be worried about dollars when you're architecting your system. You should be worried about architecting the right system, not trying to keep your tags under 5,000 because you don't want to get billed for the next tier. And I think that's something that is a principle that Steve started with, Steve Heckman, our founder, and it's carried forward, is that, as he says it, he wants to get out of the drudgery that was becoming integration and make it easy, fun, and affordable. When you start scaling like IoT is scaling, you have to have that kind of pricing model, or IoT projects become a non-starter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know one of the other things that you were one of the, I would say, more on the early adopter side, which was coincided very, very well with IoT, was obviously your embracing of MQTT, because it gave people the bandwidth and the connections for MQTT. fit IoT perfectly, because it keeps it, the scale is right, and the magnitude is correct. It gives you a position that people can get on IoT that maybe are a little bit intimidated because they're afraid of the cost or the investment or the commitment, or are they making the right decision? So I guess one of the things that I would ask is talk a little bit about how MQTT has been so essential for inductive automation, for you to kind of make, helping people make that transition, make their own digital transformation.
Sure. Well, I want to say this. It's been a great relationship. Meeting Arlen Nipper with Cirrus Link Solutions. He's a co-inventor of MQTT, and he was very happy to find our platform, and we were very happy to meet him. That history actually started with Travis. He was the person who brought him into the organization. So I think as far as the value in architectures and building it out, I don't think there's a better person to comment than you, Travis.
Yeah, no, I mean, MQTT, the first day that Arlen came in and just whiteboarded the whole architecture and what this could be, I saw it as being equally as disruptive as our licensing model and the platform that we put out there. And I thought this is really, really important and has a lot of legs, because the big tenet of MQTT is decoupling. It is no longer connecting applications directly to devices, because when you do that, then that's the only place it has that connection. Yet if you want to do it multiple times, you got to keep making multiple connections and keep setting up mappings and adding context to multiple different applications. And the idea behind MQTT is very much brought from the IT world, where you have message-oriented middleware, service buses, enterprise service buses, that you could use. So it's this pub-sub protocol that allows for devices to publish data into infrastructure. We get it there, and then multiple consumers of that data can have access. So it's a great way to decouple, to make things simpler, and to balance the old, the legacy, the older devices with new ones that are being brought in. There's tons of companies now and sensors and PLCs that are supporting MQTT natively. It's plug and play. Put it in, it starts publishing data, and you can take advantage of it. It's automatically discovered. So that decoupling, I'd say, is incredibly important for MQTT. And recently, we, as you may know, MQTT is payload agnostic. So you can send any kind of data you want through MQTT. But for the industrial space, we need to have some definition so that applications, devices and applications can be working on the same base, could have context, what that value is, what the engineering units are, what the low and the high, any documentation, all that. And so Sparkplug specification was built to be that payload specification. And we decided to make that open. So Arlen put that out there in the Eclipse Foundation. And just yesterday, the Eclipse, with the Eclipse Tahoe project, they announced the Sparkplug working group. And it has partners, our founding members. Like Don, you can kind of talk about those founding members. But I think this is incredibly important as a momentum to really continue to make MQTT and Sparkplug the standard. And we like to we liken it or have parallels to, you look at, HTTP, and HTML is what's delivered over HTTP. And look at all the amazing innovations that have happened for, if you will, the Internet of People, for what we've been able to consume out there and the applications that are available today. Well, I think the parallel is right there. It's Sparkplug is like HTML to MQTT. And with the Internet of People, or the Internet of Things, it's incredibly important, especially as we move data around. So I think the working group is really important too.
Yeah, I think so too. And so with that specification, allows us to say we can take off like the Internet of People took off when it had both pieces with MQTT and with Sparkplug. In fact, we have both pieces in the industrial sphere. What we're excited about, even to the point I mentioned earlier about being open in terms of our philosophy, this means that this specification will have the stewardship it needs in the Eclipse Foundation. The working group includes us and Cirrus Link, and we have partners coming on like O-Ring and Chevron. And so we want to basically open it up and say, you know what? We need to build it better into the future. And that means getting people involved. So the working group's just a step in that direction, Craig. And we're very excited also to have the Eclipse Foundation getting more engaged themselves, because the industrial sector is becoming much, much, much more important over time.
Who would be good candidates, let's say, to be evaluating Sparkplug and the Eclipse Foundation? As far as is it more user members, so some of the people from the manufacturing and processing community? Is this something that you would really recommend that they evaluate and look at and join and get involved with?
My hope as we look at this, is that you would see a diverse number of industrial organizations across diverse industries that would bring their unique expertise. So you'd have people in oil and gas, you have people in smart cities initiatives, you have people across automotive, you'd have people in different industries who would become, as industrial end user organizations, they'd bring their demands and their expertise so that the specification gets honed in and evolves over time to be more responsive to their needs. So yes, I think that would be the target from my viewpoint. I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Travis.
Well, yeah, I mean, a key part of digital transformation is being able to get access to data and to do something with it. And what MQTT does and Sparkplug is really opens it up, makes it very easy to do that. So there's going to be, of course, sensor companies and hardware vendors that are going to be interested in MQTT and Sparkplug in order to put that into their device. And we're seeing that a lot more with devices that are out there now supporting Sparkplug natively. And that just makes it easier, plug and play for us to work with. But of course, end users, they're going to want to work with it directly too, because Ignition could be a consumer, but they could also have IT department consume, ERP could consume, maintenance management could consume. All these different levels can take that data and can work with it. And that's the true sense of interoperability that we've got here.
Well, I think what's really critical is, if you look at the amount of this forum devoted even to IT/OT convergence, and I think what you're speaking to really resonates well, because as these two domains, I mean, certainly this is IT/OT convergence has been going on, probably almost as long as you've been coming to the forum. But I think we're starting to see those firewalls come down between the two departments, and they realize, instead of looking at them as competitors within the organization, they're looking at them more as how do we complement each other and how do we take the best of all worlds. So what are some of the things, for example, that where people maybe on the OT side may be a little bit more familiar with the traditional inductive automation from the introduction of Ignition, but now as you're working more on the IT side, what are some of the things that makes inductive automation attractive to the IT people as they're getting to know you?
Well, that's a really good question. I'll say a couple of comments. I'm sure Travis have something to comment on too. But I tell you, when you go back to Steve's initial idea, I mean, we were database centric, based on standard IT technologies. His original idea at the very beginning was he just simply wanted to get PLC data bidirectionally to standard SQL databases. He was aware of the IT domain and the fact that the industrial side of things wasn't keeping up with where things were possible to go as regards IT. So we started with standard IT technologies, and we would encourage, this is 15 years ago, would you please bring your IT folks in the room with the OT folks? And granted, it was difficult to do sometimes in those early days, but it was like once you got them in the room and you started realizing they were talking about IT things they were very familiar with. They were familiar with Java. They were familiar with the scripting. They were familiar with SQL databases. These were IT-friendly things. It took a while also for OT guys to break down from their side. I think the technical breakdown is one challenge, but the organizational silos that have been there for decades, Craig, that was a tough one.
Yeah, we found in our own research that the human element is stronger than the technical element as far as as far as either eliminating barriers to being successful.
I would totally agree. I think you run into that, which is one of the reasons, to your point, opening of why we come to the forum. This is a great venue for people to say, hey, there are people here on all sides of the fence, if you will, from OT, IT. If we're going to converge technologically, we have to converge process, converge people, and get on the same page, because at the end of the day, there's only one enterprise. And the outcomes of that enterprise should be aligned. And this technical solution is part of it. The process and the people are also big pieces of it.
Another thing that we've seen changing is, one time the manufacturing domain was very different than the building automation domain, the smart city domain. I mean, building automation, was the BACnet world, for example. And we're starting to see a convergence of, building automation with process automation, building automation with smart cities, as far as being able to take advantage of the technologies today. Do you see yourself playing from the building automation and smart city world as far as inductive automation? Beyond expanding scope, let's say plant floor, factory floor plus, getting into there.
Absolutely, and I'm just going to comment on it, and then because of the fact that you're sitting there seeing the architectures and the development and the solution to build out through you guys in sales engineering, Travis will probably build on it, but the short answer is yes. I mean, I personally believe if you take a look at a smart cities viewpoint, and you take a look at what are the different layers you're trying to get. I mean, we have deployments where you have water, wastewater, electrical, running the health of a 280 strand network around a city. I think we have the foundation for that. We don't have a backnet driver, but that's soon to be solved inside our own particular short-term timeline, because I think we have the ability to be that platform upon which you can build not just the data center piece of it as far as a data center goes, but what about a data center and all the building things that go along with a data center? So I think we are in a position to build out that platform, and technologically we're getting there, and organizationally we want to bring together that expertise and play a role in that area.
Yeah, as I mentioned, there's the brownfield world and all the different, legacy devices and polling protocols. There's tons of different protocols out there. So it's critical, of course, to be able to get access to data, to have those drivers written. And so we have a number of drivers in the product already. BACnet, as we mentioned, is on the roadmap here shortly. And we're looking at Mitsubishi IEC 61850 and some of these really important drivers that are going to help open up more verticals for us, because they can be used with our edge product. So having to put the edge out there, connected devices, bringing the information back, that's a big part. And we've been able to do it historically through OPC. Connect to another OPC server that can provide that. But the more drivers we build can be all cross-platform, can run on a Linux stack or Raspberry Pi or any of these fog computing arenas, help make it go a lot faster. And so driver development is just, continues to be important, because that is ultimately, we have to get access to the data. And while that's happening, then you have the greenfield world that have devices that are supporting MQTT natively. So it's kind of nice, right? As if you can solve the existing and they bring in new, you have the same infrastructure. You can work in the same way.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going too. I believe that you're talking about, if you look at a city and a smart city, they want a platform upon which they can build all the different aspects of a city. And they have a whole lot of layers of mapping. Cities are very much involved in geography, where something's located. Location becomes important in cities. So there's a lot of issues, and they also have a whole lot of buildings in the public sector. So this is all stuff that we think is in the exciting part of the future, Craig.
So when we think about the ARC Orlando Forum 2021, and when you're doing your press conference and introducing your new products, do you envision that next year you'll be certainly having a showing some different areas, different solutions, let's say, going in that direction?
Why don't you hypothesize the future for a second, Travis? And if I want to chime in, I'll chime in.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, we definitely going to see a lot of advancements in this coming year. So last April we introduced a new product called Ignition Perspective module, and that is native HTML5 visualization. And we extended that to native apps on iOS and Android to utilize those phone sensors. We're going to see a lot of developments in that product. In the web world, there's so many amazing things that are built out there. That's the most developed on and pen tested platform in the world, right? People are developing web applications. And so we're going to see that Perspective project really a lot more use of it, enterprise, cloud use of it, building out really rich applications on there. And then of course, with that, as mentioned, the drivers, getting more drivers under our belt, we'll be able to have that be a critical part of our transformation as well. But when you look at the younger workforce coming in, they need, be able to have tools they understand, they can work with, leverage their own phones and devices that they have. That's important. And, being able to have standards like MQTT and with the Ignition platform, having a simple development environment, it's going to allow them to just easily come in and be a part of this. But they're also deploying solutions to the cloud and hybrid on-premise. And they're not, the world of having to get a device, hardware, commission, install, configure, do all that work is really kind of going down. So the onboard program is kind of a way to mitigate that. But if you look in the future, I mean, being able to just go spin up Ignition in the cloud or any of these automatic deployment models, I think is something you'll be seeing as well.
And I'm sure your customers at your ICC conference this coming September will get a head start before the ARC forum.
It absolutely will. In fact, it works out perfect, Craig, because we have our conference in September. You've been there. You've spoken at it. We've been coming here for 7 years. We're going to keep coming here. But the September-February timeframe works so well for us because we start things going in terms of September, but really a lot of the work being done by Travis and his team in terms of onboard was really going on October, November, December, getting ready And we always try and launch and have something significant ready to go into the new year when we're here in Orlando in the early February timeframe. So as far as looking into the future, I would say this. We would like to do anything we possibly can with our partners, with the ecosystem, with our product, to really accelerate the enterprise deployments of digital transformation strategies and make them real. We say it's easy, fun, affordable, and you can do it now. We would like to see. The reason I think you have so many speakers from our customer set is because we think they are sort of taking the lead, and we would like to help them really accelerate their success to the forum as we go forward.
And this does come with education. And so there's a large initiatives for us. You could talk about this, Don, about working with universities, getting Ignition in these engineering programs to train that next generation. It's why we developed the Inductive University that has over 650 videos on how to do things in our product. But that's another big piece to this. I just want to mention it, even as we're wrapping up here. But Travis brings up a good point. We didn't mention in the press conference. We brought on a full-time university engagement outreach manager, and university engagement is a big deal. We need personnel. Our integrators need personnel, Ignition training. We do everything we can to make knowledge transfer free, but the next generation. So we're working with schools like Arizona State University, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The list goes on to the point where we believe we are giving free copies of Ignition to these universities, help them with curriculum. And I would say when we're here a couple, 3 years from now, you're going to see 150 universities actually having Ignition training available to their students as they go through their engineering programs, so that they go with this skill set to go with their engineering skills.
Some of those students are attending this forum as well as they've beginning their careers with
yes.
And utilizing a tool, a resource we have called the Ignition Exchange, where they're going to be building things, maybe for their home automation, for this, for that, and they're going to be able to bring that to the exchange, to share it with the community, and then have end users, educate students and vendors all collaborating in this who are actually building these kind of applications. So we hope to see that be a really vibrant marketplace as well.
Absolutely. The most exciting thing I could say is when you put Ignition in the hands of all of these different people with all these different backgrounds, from students to totally experienced engineers, we're always amazed, Craig, at what they do with it. So you can kind of tell we're a little bit excited about this. We probably should wrap it up and move on,
Well, Travis and Dawn, thank you so much for being here today. And again, this is Craig Resnick coming to you from the 2020 ARC Orlando Forum. Thank you very much. Have a great day.